For most people, green eyes are just green, a single color, a single word. But that's like saying every ocean is just water, or every forest is just trees. Because when you look closer, truly closer, green eyes reveal something far more complex. They are shaped by light, by pigment, by ancestry stretching back thousands of years. Today, we're not talking about green eyes as a color, we're exploring them as a spectrum, a living interplay of biology and perception. 5 distinct expressions. 5 ways green appears in the human eye. Some are bright, some are deep, some don't even look green at first until the light shifts. And once you understand these differences, you'll realize something surprising. You've probably been seeing green eyes your whole life, without ever really seeing them. So, let's begin our journey. Number 1. Emerald green eyes. Imagine sunlight hitting fresh green leaves after rain. Not dark, not faded, but glowing. That clear, vivid green, bright, clean, and unmistakable, is what people mean when they talk about emerald green eyes. These eyes are defined by their purity. There's very little brown, very little gray, and almost no blue interference. The green appears clean and direct, as if it's sitting right at the surface of the iris. But here's the surprising part. There is no green pigment in the human eye. Emerald green eyes don't contain green color at all. Instead, their appearance is created by a precise interaction between low melanin, yellowish lipochrome pigment, and the way light scatters inside the iris. In darker eyes, melanin absorbs light. In emerald green eyes, there is just enough melanin to soften brightness, but not enough to absorb it. Light enters the iris, scatters across microscopic fibers, and reflects back through a thin layer of yellow pigment. That reflected light appears green to the human eye, and because the balance is so precise, the green looks vivid, almost glowing. Ophthalmologists often describe emerald green eyes as having high chromatic clarity. That means the color appears strong and well-defined, without muddy tones. This is what separates emerald green eyes from other green types. Unlike hazel green eyes, emerald green eyes don't shift toward brown. Unlike olive green eyes, they don't carry a warm, earthy undertone. The green stays green. In bright sunlight, emerald green eyes can appear almost electric, reflecting light sharply and vividly. In indoor lighting, they don't disappear, they simply deepen. This consistency is one of their most recognizable traits. Genetically, emerald green eyes are rare because they require a very specific combination of genes. Eye color is polygenic, meaning multiple genes influence melanin production, pigment distribution, and iris structure. For emerald green eyes to appear, those factors must align almost perfectly. That's why even among people with green eyes, true emerald green is uncommon. These eyes are most often found in northern and central European populations, where lighter pigmentation historically faced no environmental disadvantage. But because genetics don't follow geography strictly, emerald green eyes can appear in almost any population. Psychologically, bright green hues tend to stand out strongly in human perception. Studies in visual attention show that saturated greens are detected quickly by the eye, likely because green dominates natural environments like forests and grasslands. As a result, emerald green eyes are often described as striking or unforgettable, not because of personality, but because the color itself triggers visual alertness. People often say, emerald green eyes look alive. That impression comes from how clearly the eye reflects light, small movements of the pupil, tiny shifts in gaze. They're easier to notice when the iris color is bright and clean. It gives the illusion of heightened expression. But emerald green eyes aren't flashy in every setting. In softer light, the green becomes richer and deeper, more gemstone than glow, still vivid but calmer. This adaptability makes emerald green eyes visually dynamic without being unstable. The color doesn't change, it responds. If you're wondering how to recognize emerald green eyes, there are a few clear signs. First, purity of color. If the green looks clean and uninterrupted, without obvious brown or gray patches, that's a strong indicator. Second, brightness without warmth. Emerald green is vivid but not yellow. If the green leans golden, it's more likely olive or amber green. Third, consistency. If the eyes look green in most lighting conditions, not just direct sunlight, you're likely looking at emerald green eyes. Emerald green eyes don't hide. They don't soften into something else, they remain clear, balanced, distinct. They are not the most common green eyes, but they are the most iconic. And once you've seen true emerald green eyes up close, you never confuse them for anything else. Number 2, olive green eyes. Imagine green leaves covered in a fine layer of dust at sunset. Not fresh, not faded, but warm. That deep, earthy green, soft, grounded, and natural is what people mean when they talk about olive green eyes. At first glance, olive green eyes don't stand out the way brighter greens do. They don't glow, they don't sparkle. Instead, they feel settled. The green is darker, more muted, often mixed with subtle brown or golden tones. It's the kind of green you see in nature: aged leaves, moss-covered stone, olives ripening on the branch. Olive green eyes carry warmth, and that warmth is the key difference. Scientifically, olive green eyes contain more melanin than brighter green eyes like emerald or luminous green. Melanin absorbs light, which reduces brightness and softens contrast. But there's still enough light scattering in the iris to keep the eye green. So instead of reflecting light sharply, olive green eyes absorb and diffuse it. That's why they look deeper, richer, more grounded. Unlike emerald green eyes, which appear clean and vivid, olive green eyes look layered. The green isn't sitting on the surface, it feels embedded. This is also why olive green eyes can sometimes be mistaken for brown. In low light, the added melanin absorbs more light, causing the green to recede. In bright sunlight, the green returns, but it never becomes neon or glowing. It stays warm, it stays earthy. Genetically, olive green eyes are more common in populations from regions with stronger sunlight exposure, such as the Mediterranean, the Middle East, parts of South Asia, and North Africa. In these environments, higher melanin levels offered protection against intense UV radiation. Over time, this led to eye colors that were neither fully dark nor fully light. Olive green eyes sit right in that middle ground. They are a blend, but not a shifting blend like hazel. This is an important distinction. Their color is stable. The green may deepen or soften with lighting, but it never fully disappears and never dramatically transforms. That stability is one of their defining traits. Another key difference lies in undertone. Emerald green eyes tend to be cool and clean. Gray-green eyes are muted and cool. Olive green eyes are warm. If the green has a yellowish, golden, or brown warmth to it, rather than a crisp or icy tone, you're likely looking at olive green. Psychologically, people often describe olive green eyes as calm, steady, or reassuring. Not because of personality, but because the color lacks sharp contrast. There's nothing visually jarring about them. The eye doesn't jump forward, it settles back. That creates a sense of depth. Now, how can someone recognize olive green eyes in real life? The first clue is warmth. If the green feels earthy rather than bright, closer to moss or olives than fresh leaves, that's a strong indicator. The second clue is low reflectivity. Olive green eyes don't catch light dramatically. They absorb it. Even in bright sunlight, they look rich rather than glowing. The third clue is consistency. If the eyes appear green-brown in low light but clearly green in sunlight, without flipping between colors, they are likely olive green rather than hazel. And finally, pay attention to first impressions. People rarely say, "Wow, your eyes are bright green," to someone with olive green eyes. Instead, they say things like, "Your eyes are deep. There's something warm about your eyes. I can't tell if they're green or brown." That uncertainty is part of the charm. Olive green eyes don't announce themselves. They reveal themselves over time. They feel mature, natural, rooted, not glowing like emerald, not shifting like hazel, not muted like gray-green, just quietly green. And once you recognize olive green eyes for what they are, you stop confusing them for anything else. Number 3, hazel green eyes. Imagine standing near a window as clouds slowly pass by. The room brightens, then softens. That shifting blend of green, brown, and gold is what people mean when they talk about hazel green eyes. These eyes are not a single color. They are a blend. At first glance, they may look green. In another moment, brown. And sometimes golden. This constant change is their defining feature. Unlike emerald or olive green eyes, which remain relatively stable, hazel green eyes react strongly to their surroundings. Lighting, clothing colors, even the environment can change how they appear. But this isn't illusion, it's physics. Hazel green eyes contain multiple pigment layers within the iris. There is green present, but also brown melanin and often golden lipochrome arranged in uneven patterns. Instead of one color dominating, different pigments take turns reflecting light. In bright sunlight, the green often becomes more visible. In shade, the brown comes forward. Under warm light, gold tones appear. This is why hazel green eyes are often described as changing color, even though the pigments themselves remain the same. What makes hazel green eyes different from olive green eyes is movement. Olive green eyes are warm but steady. Hazel green eyes are active. The colors don't just deepen or soften, they shift position and dominance. You may notice darker rings near the pupil, lighter green toward the edges, or flecks of gold scattered across the iris. This layered structure gives hazel green eyes depth and unpredictability. Genetically, hazel green eyes are common in people with mixed ancestry. Because eye color is controlled by multiple genes, hazel often appears when different pigmentation traits combine rather than align neatly. It's a genetic crossroads. That's why hazel green eyes are among the most common green eyes worldwide, and also the most misclassified. People often argue whether hazel eyes are green or brown. The answer is both. Psychologically, hazel green eyes are often perceived as intriguing or expressive, not because of personality trait, but because the human brain is drawn to variability. When a color isn't fixed, the brain keeps checking it. That creates engagement. Now, how do you recognize hazel green eyes? The first sign is change. If the eye color looks noticeably different in different lighting, green outdoors, brown indoors, that's a classic hazel trait. The second sign is multi-tone patterning. Look closely at the iris. If you see green mixed with brown, gold, or amber in patches or rings rather than smooth blending, you're likely looking at hazel green eyes. The third sign is contrast near the pupil. Many hazel green eyes have darker pigmentation near the center, with lighter green radiating outward. This creates a sunburst effect that's easy to spot up close. What hazel green eyes are not is muted. They aren't softened like gray-green eyes. They aren't earthy and grounded like olive green eyes. And they aren't pure and clean like emerald green eyes. They are dynamic. They respond to light, they respond to environment, they feel alive because they never look exactly the same twice. And that's why hazel green eyes are so often talked about. Not because they're rare, but because they're impossible to pin down. Always shifting, always layered, always changing. That's the essence of hazel green eyes. Number 4, blue-green, sea green eyes. Imagine standing near the ocean on a clear day. The water isn't blue, it isn't green, it's something in between. That cool shifting color, fresh, light-filled, and unmistakably aquatic hanomite is what people mean when they talk about blue-green eyes, often called sea green eyes. At first glance, these eyes feel bright, not sharp like emerald, not muted like gray-green, but clear. There's a sense of openness to them, like sky meeting water. Blue-green eyes don't sit heavy in the face, they lift it, they reflect light easily, and they often appear lighter than they truly are. This is one of the most commonly misidentified eye colors in the world. People call them blue, then green, then blue again, but they are neither fully one nor the other. They overlap. Blue-green eyes exist because of very low melanin, combined with light scattering inside the iris. Unlike darker green eyes, which absorb more light, blue-green eyes allow light to pass through the iris and scatter back outward. This scattering favors shorter wavelengths, which is why blue tones appear so strongly. At the same time, a thin layer of yellow pigment adds green into the mix. The result is balance, not dominance. Ophthalmologists often describe this eye color as structurally influenced, meaning the color you see depends heavily on how light interacts with the iris, not just pigment alone. That's why these eyes feel so alive. Lighting doesn't just affect blue-green eyes, it controls them. In bright daylight, the blue tones rise. The eyes may look almost sky-colored. In shade or indoor light, the green becomes more visible. Cool green, seafoam, aqua. Near water, these eyes often appear brighter than usual. Near greenery, they lean green. Near cool surfaces, they lean blue. This responsiveness to environment is what gives sea green eyes their ocean-like quality. Always moving, never fixed. Compared to emerald green eyes, blue-green eyes are lighter and cooler. Emerald is bold and saturated. Sea green is airy. Compared to olive green eyes, blue-green lacks warmth. Olive eyes feel grounded and earthy. Blue-green eyes feel fresh and open. Compared to hazel green eyes, blue-green eyes are more consistent. Hazel shifts between colors. Sea green shifts within one spectrum. This makes blue-green one of the most visually dynamic green eye types. Psychologists studying color perception have found that cool tones, especially blue-green, are associated with calmness, clarity, and emotional openness. That's why people often describe sea green eyes as refreshing, approachable, gentle. They don't intimidate, they invite. Unlike darker eye colors that add intensity, blue-green eyes soften expressions. They make faces appear more open, more relaxed. It's not about mystery, it's about ease. If you're trying to identify blue-green eyes, look for these signs. They look blue at first glance but green up close. They brighten noticeably in daylight. They shift with surroundings, not emotion. They never look muddy or brown. And most importantly, they feel cool. If the green feels ocean toned rather than earthy, that's sea green. Most people grow up thinking eye colors are simple. Blue, green, brown. Blue-green eyes fall between categories. Because of that, they're often mislabeled depending on lighting, clothing, or even mood. But genetically and visually, they are distinct. They're not diluted green, they're not tinted blue. They are a blend, balanced, clean, and light-driven. There's a reason sea green eyes are compared to water. They don't feel fixed, they feel alive, like shallow waves, like sunlight beneath the surface, like movement without chaos. They don't demand attention, they catch it naturally. And once you recognize them, you start seeing the difference, between blue, between green, and the space where they meet. These are blue-green eyes, cool, ocean-toned, and endlessly shifting. Number 5, gray-green eyes, Number 5, gray-green eyes, dusted green. Imagine green seen through a thin layer of fog, not erased, not hidden, but softened. That muted, dusted green, calm, desaturated, and quietly present, is what people mean when they talk about gray-green eyes, often described as dusted green. At first glance, these eyes don't announce themselves. They don't shine, they don't sparkle, they don't pull attention instantly. Instead, they settle into the room. Gray-green eyes are subtle by nature. Their color feels aged, weathered, almost historical, like green paint that's been exposed to sunlight for years. Still there, still beautiful, just softened by time. This is one of the reasons people often struggle to name this eye color. In one moment, they look gray. In another, olive. And sometimes unmistakably green, but never bright, never sharp. That's what separates gray-green eyes from emerald or mint greens. Those colors reflect light. Gray-green absorbs it. To understand gray-green eyes, you have to understand what isn't there. Unlike bright green eyes, gray-green eyes lack high contrast. The pigments are unevenly distributed. Instead of a clean green surface, the iris contains fine gray and brown particles layered throughout. This scattering dulls reflection. Rather than bouncing light back, the iris diffuses it. The result is a color that looks softened, desaturated, and matte. Ophthalmologists describe this as low contrast pigmentation. Not enough melanin to turn the eye brown, but enough to mute the green underneath. Think of it like this. Emerald green eyes are polished glass. Gray-green eyes are frosted glass. You still see the color. It's just filtered. Lighting plays a huge role in how these eyes appear. In bright daylight, gray-green eyes often look pale or cool. The gray tones rise to the surface. Sometimes they are mistaken for pure gray. In indoor or softer lighting, the green becomes more visible, but still muted, more olive, more earthy. Under warm light, brown flecks may appear near the pupil. Under cool light, the gray dominates. This shifting quality is why many people with gray-green eyes are told different things throughout their lives. You have gray eyes. No, they're green. Maybe hazel? The truth is simpler. They're green, just dusted. Compared to emerald green eyes, gray-green looks aged and understated. Emerald eyes glow. Gray-green eyes rest. Compared to olive green eyes, gray-green lacks warmth. Olive eyes feel earthy and golden. Gray-green feels cool and neutral. Compared to hazel green eyes, gray-green is more stable. Hazel shifts dramatically between colors. Gray-green shifts subtly, never fully changing, just softening. And compared to blue-green eyes, gray-green contains almost no blue. Instead of clarity, it carries depth. This is the quietest green of them all. There's a reason people often describe gray-green eyes as calm, thoughtful, or introspective. Psychologists who study facial perception have found that low-contrast eye colors are often associated with traits like patience, steadiness, and emotional control. Bright colors demand attention. Muted colors invite observation. Gray-green eyes don't dominate a face. They balance it. People often say these eyes feel safe. Not intimidating, not overwhelming, just present. If you're trying to identify gray-green eyes, here are a few signs. They rarely look bright green, even in sunlight. They appear soft or powdery rather than glossy. They often look gray from a distance but green up close. They don't dramatically change color, only tone, and most importantly, they never look sharp. If green feels like it's behind a veil, that's gray-green. Gray-green eyes don't photograph well. Cameras love contrast. They love saturation. Gray-green eyes tend to flatten on screen, often appearing gray or brown depending on exposure. That's why this eye color is underrepresented in media and beauty discussions. But in real life, face to face, they reveal their complexity. They reward attention. Gray-green eyes are not about spectacle, they're about presence. They don't flash, they don't glow, they don't compete, they endure. Like stone covered in moss, like old paint on wood, like green seen through time. And once you recognize them, you start seeing them everywhere. In people you thought had gray eyes, or olive eyes, or eyes you could never quite name. Now, you know. These are gray-green eyes, softened, dusted, and quietly unforgettable.